believe that a woman warrior will somehow be their salvation. More people asked the gods of the land to provide us a leader, and now they have. Fire!
For our freedom!
You will always be my queen.
Hidden in Boudica, Queen of War, first 10 minutes. A clue that predicts the ending. Missed it? Let's blow your mind at the beginning of the film. We are introduced to a small kingdom called Iceni, where people lived peacefully and in harmony. However, this was when the Roman Empire had already conquered a vast part of the world, including nearly all of America. Iceni remained one of the few free regions. The story quickly shifts to a neighboring kingdom, where the cruel reality of Roman conquest is shown. Innocent people are being slaughtered by Roman soldiers. Amid this brutality, the suffering people pray for divine intervention, hoping that a goddess or queen will rise to save them. Their cries are overheard by a Roman general who, alarmed by the idea of a rising savior, rushes to inform his king. Enraged and fearful of rebellion, the king immediately orders the execution of all powerful women in the empire, especially those who might stand against him. Meanwhile, back in Iceni, the local general brings troubling news. The Roman Empire is sending a new general to oversee their land. Tension mounts as the people brace themselves for what's to come. Around this time, the queen of Iceni, Boudica, is seen heading to the market with her daughters. Along the way, they come across corpses hanging from trees, which terrifies her children. Trying to comfort them, Boudica claims these people must have done something wrong. But her maid interrupts, explaining the grim truth. They were killed simply for being Christians, as the Romans despised their faith. And upon arriving at the market, Boudica is shocked when people from another tribe suddenly bow to her, calling her Goddess Boudica. Confused by the gesture, she doesn't have time to respond before a Roman soldier notices the scene. Seeing Boudica as a threat, he moves to kill her under royal orders. But just as he attacks, a young girl who first bowed to Boudica steps in and cuts off the soldier's hand, then beheads him. This act of defiance means war. Everyone flees, knowing that Roman retaliation is imminent, and Boudica becomes the primary target. To protect Boudica, her king's husband tries to negotiate with the Roman forces. They agree to spare her life, but only on one condition: she must be punished. Her sentence is a year-long confinement within the palace walls. Later, Boudica speaks with her husband about the bizarre events at the market and asks why people called her a goddess. The king explains that she is descended from the barbarian bloodline, warriors known to be among the bravest in the world. The next day, Boudica is playfully sparring with her daughters using a wooden sword. The king watches, amused, assuming she lacks combat skills. But as soon as the girls leave, Boudica surprises him by cleverly striking him during a training session. Impressed, he realizes she's far more capable than he thought. He then presents her with a special sword, one once given by her father, a weapon of the barbarians said to be forged with magical powers and belonging to the legendary goddess Boudica. Soon, the newly arrived Roman general visits Iceni. Despite being enemies, the people respectfully welcome him as a guest, but the general sees them as nothing more than insects. The king, sensing danger, decides to strike first. He and his general plan a surprise attack on a high-ranking Roman platoon. Though outmatched in weaponry, the Iceni army bravely fights and wins, albeit at great cost. The king dies in battle. This loss devastates Boudica, but she strengthens her resolve and takes charge of the kingdom. The Romans, outraged by a woman claiming power, return and declare Boudica guilty of a grave offense. No woman is allowed to rule over any land under Roman influence. As punishment, the Romans seized her kingdom and humiliated her publicly. Her royal clothes are stripped, and she is chained to a tree and whipped in front of her people. No one dares help her. Left beaten and unconscious, she's eventually rescued by those who saw her as a goddess. They bring her to safety and treat her injuries. That when Boudica wakes, she immediately asks about her daughters, only to learn they were killed by the Romans. This devastating news plunges her into shock and unconsciousness once again. Days pass, and when she finally recovers, she sees children training with wooden swords. Some girls resemble her lost daughters. These children tell Boudica their people believe she is destined to save them from the Romans. Fueled by grief and rage, Boudica begins training for battle and is once again handed the barbarian sword gifted by the king, this time. Another general named Wulfgar arrives. His kingdom had also suffered under Roman rule, and he too seeks revenge. But when he sees Boudica as the leader, he mocks her, claiming he would never follow a woman who can't fight. He snatches her sword and tosses it into a nearby river. Without hesitation, Boudica dives in, despite not knowing how to swim. Everyone assumes she's drowned, but she resurfaces moments later with her sword in hand. Her courage wins Wulfgar's respect, and he agrees to join her cause. That night, a ritual is held in Boudica's honor, where she vows to reclaim her kingdom. Soon after, Boudica learns that a large Roman platoon will be passing near her territory within 2 days. Determined to strike, she prepares an ambush, but Wulfgar hesitates, fearing for his soldiers' lives. Undeterred, Boudica decides to go into battle with only her most loyal followers. However, as the fight begins, Wulfgar arrives with his full force, turning the tide. The Roman army is attacked, and in the chaos, Boudica mistakenly kills her former general, not recognizing him. Enraged and overwhelmed by her trauma, she stabs him repeatedly. Despite heavy losses, the Roman army is defeated. Wulfgar's forces behead their enemies and mount their heads on arrows, a brutal symbol of victory. Peace returns to the land for a time. Later, Boudica is approached by a group of mysterious dwarfs who perform bizarre rituals and claim her death is near. They tell her she has more to do before her end and force her to confront the truth that her family is truly gone. This revelation sickens her, but she refuses to give up. Boudica rallies a massive army and leads an assault on the Roman-occupied city of Camellia, where countless innocent people had once been killed. Her forces slaughter the Roman soldiers and set the city ablaze. In celebration, her troops mark their faces like Boudica's, unaware that the symbol they copied was the mark of slavery forced upon her by the Romans. When Boudica asks them if they know its meaning, they say they don't care. They wear it to share her identity. Empowered by this, Boudica sets her sights on London, the Roman stronghold. Her army launches a fierce attack and wins another bloody battle. The Roman Empire, now weakened and demoralized, begins to crumble from within. Roman citizens revolt against their king, setting buildings ablaze in protest. Amid this chaos, Roman generals ask their king for direction. But the king, admitting he knows nothing of war, confesses he is merely a musician. In despair, he ends his life by slitting his wrists. Back in Britain, Wulfgar warns Boudica that the Romans will return for vengeance. He suggests they disappear and regroup. But Boudica, filled with purpose, refuses to hide. She prepares for one final war, even if she must fight alone. With only one tribe beside her, she goes into battle. Unfortunately, the Romans were ready. Many of her soldiers fall into a deadly trap, and Boudica herself is wounded. Refusing to surrender, she rises again, determined to fight until her last breath. Just when all seems lost, Wulfgar and his troops arrive to support her. A fierce battle erupts, and amidst the chaos, Boudica has visions of her daughters. Distracted, she is struck by an arrow. Seizing the moment, Roman soldiers surround and repeatedly stab her until she dies. As she fades, Boudica experiences peaceful moments with her family in her mind. The film doesn't clearly state whether she won the war, but in the post-credits, we're told her story is based on true events. Even today, a statue of Boudica and her daughter stands tall in London, a symbol of courage and resistance. If this recap changed your mind about Boudica, Queen of War Smash-like, if it didn't, fight me in the comments. And subscribe. You know you want to. Thanks for watching.